me the story that your mom would tell you about the man that would dig coal for people. I'm going to audio record it.
We had one man in the community. He basically lived on line pork, and his name was Billy Fallon. He was from Ireland, a little bitty short, red-headed guy. Had a full beard, and he would go from house to house. Now he'd do this year round, and dig coal for people. If you had coal on your land, he'd dig enough coal to do you for a whole year. And all you had to pay him was food and shelter, and occasionally somebody would have to buy him some clothes. But he'd stay right with it till he got all of the coal you would need for a whole year. And then when he got that house, got their coal, he'd go to the next farm and dig their coal. And he spent his life on line pork, more or less. I don't know just how old he was when he died, but he eventually died. Don't know where they buried him. But this is the story my mother told me. And that was in the early 1900s when he was doing this. And people had just discovered coal and was starting to use it for fuel instead of all wood. They could have a better, hotter fire. But a lot of people wouldn't use it in their cook stove because it'd get the top of the stove so red hot it would warp the metal. And but they used it in their open fireplaces. I know Mom was very particular about how much coal she used in her cook stove. That's the story on Billy Fallon.
Do you remember any other work that was like that?
Well, we had another man. Now, I don't know. He spent a lot of time on line pork, just like Billy Fallon, but he was a shoe cobbler. He had his horse and his wagon and all of his shoe mending equipment, leather and tacks and what all. And he'd stop at a house. Okay, everybody in the family, baby's up. I can either make you a new shoe or repair the old ones you're wearing. And he did that for a living. Now, he charged a little bit of money, but most of the time he would like stay all night with you, get up early the next morning and start making shoes. It may take him 2 days or even 3 days because they had big families, 8, 10, 12 people to a family. It took a few days. Then when he got all those shoes fixed, he'd move on down the creek to the next house. Hey, need your shoes fixed? Got a little money? And that's the way he made his living.
What was his name?
I don't know.
We're on the Helen Lorraine Unfortunately, we can't see out. We've been the first car before, and that's pretty awesome. That's always something to shoot for. But here on the map, that's how we're going to go across. It's $5 for a car, minimum 5 on a truck. Could be more. You know, it depends on space that you're taking up.
We're moving about 10 miles an hour.
Well, there you go. You're going to get a good view, Dad. Check it out. Aren't you a lucky ducky?
He's hooked under this thing right here in the middle.
Yeah, watch. He's going to flip around.
And then push it. He'd be sitting right here.
I dot nifty.
Isn't that clever?
Yeah.
It's just like a trailer hitch. Instead of that,
Yeah. Just
big trailer hitch.
been flipping right around. Can you see the guy up there?
Yeah.
Don't distract him, Lord help us. He's working hard. Oh, Dad's little boy heart got happy. Oh, okay, now he's concentrating now. I wonder what those stairs are for right there. What do you think that's for?
Look out.
No, it's not a lookout. There's got to be a purpose to it.
Lifeguard.
Ooh, there went a big speedboat in front of him. Oh, look. There she is. She has a brake, Dad. That really might be an okay job. Oh, hey, let's look out this window. Okay, we're on the Ohio side going back. My advice, always.
Sunday's the best day.
Yeah, to enjoy it, yeah. I always advise people to come in and out on the Ohio or the Kentucky side, because you get that little bitty short drive up and down that crickety hill. Reminds you of going in and out hollers, and it's right at like the opposite direction of turning to go into the airport. The opposite way is how you get down this little back road to Anderson Ferry. And then we're gonna go set and just watch for a little bit. Keep watching.
Watch out.
Oh my gosh.
He's pulling 3 of them.
Oh no, they have their own motors, just like a,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You drive them like you do a snowmobile.
Wow. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
I actually feel like you get beat up on it. That boat is pulling a tube, but I don't see anybody on it. Wait, there are people on it. Back behind.
Yeah.
And they,
Don't know this
yeah,
way.
they just slowed down.
There goes another big plane. Wow.
Oh, okay, you're gonna get seasick, but back, oh, it's behind the trees now. We'll catch it when it comes out of the trees. Oh my gosh, Dad, they're giving you a show over there. I'm telling you, people, this is the place to set when it's hot and sunny like this. Oh, they were doing all kinds. Oh, there they go again. Maybe they'll do some more circles. Dad wants to be on one.
I'd ride one of those in a minute. Boy, that yellow one is fast. That would be fun.
Okay, we'll come back over to the middle. And this speedboat, I don't know, it just stopped all of a sudden out here, and maybe they're just wanting to watch the ferry. There, all those cars are off. Gonna load up a few more. How about ice?
Ice?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. I was 11 years old when we got our first refrigerator, and I thought those ice cubes was about the neatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And there's aluminum trays, and you just get a tray right out of the fridge, you pull a handle, and it'd pop every one of those ice cubes right out in a bowl. Fill it up with water, stick it back in the fridge. And that fascinated me to no end. Then another big excitement, I was 11 years old. Mom had electricity put in the house. And boy, those electric lights was well, you could see how to read. When it got dark, those old kerosene lanterns, you couldn't see very good. And when we got electricity, boy, you could just sit back and read and read.
Well, in the wintertime, I bet that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Because down there, with those, you're at Pine Mountain, and the high ridges, the dark comes fast.
It'd get dark an hour early.
You experience pitch black down there. Did your mom ever tell you about the first time she saw an automobile?
Mom never did buy a car.
No, first time she ever saw one.
Oh. Now, I'll tell you a story about in 1910, they built a railroad up from Harlan up to Benham and Lynch to haul the coal out. Well, the people on Line Park got word that there'd be a train coming up from Harlan to Cumberland on a Sunday morning. It'd be there, they could see it at about 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, there was about 50 people lined up at Gordon, and they started walking across the mountain, and they got almost, not completely off the mountain, but they could see the railroad. And here come the train, choo, choo, choo. Blowing his horn, smoke going everywhere. And this one lady stepped out from the crowd and said, "My goodness, children, that thing is bigger than a cow." I never heard this one before. Oh, Lord. And so that's the story on the first train Mom ever saw.
Did your mom tell you when was the first time she rode a plane or rode in a car?
No, but I can tell you my first car ride.
Okay, that's a good one.
I was about 5 years old, and me and Mom, we lived up in the Picture Range. And me and Mom was walking to Gordon, and this old 8 model Ford came by and stopped, and Mom got in the front seat, and I got in the back seat, going along. Probably rode it for about half a mile, and everything got dizzy. I got so dizzy and drunk, I just passed out. Flop. Right over in that seat I went. Colder than a hound dog. And Mom was a little concerned then, but the driver told her not to worry about it. I just got sick from riding in a car. I got dizzy, and I'd be waking up in a little bit. Well, before we got to Gordon, I woke up, and boy, I was holding on to that seat, and then I got to figure out if I looked straight ahead and not move my eyes, I wouldn't get dizzy no more. And that's the last time I ever got dizzy riding in a car, but I passed out on the first one.
Tell about the time you threw your shoe out.
Oh, yeah, I was a little boy. Well, now I could have been, I was 4.5 when Dad died. I was probably no more than 5-year-old at the most. Me and Mom went to Cumberland, we walked, but we got a ride back in a truck, a big cattle truck, and we got in, and Mom had bought me a brand new pair of shoes, and one of them was probably hurting my feet. I pulled that shoe off and stuck it through the cracks in that truck bed out onto the road. Well, about a week later, one of Mom's friends said, "Hey, I got something I bet belongs to Lester." It's a brand new little shoe. She pulled it out of her purse and showed Mom. Yep, that's it. Oh, shoe got to hurt my foot. I threw it away. But that lady found it. Heaven knows how long it took me to learn how to wear a pair of shoes. Well, as kids, we'd go out and play in the snow barefoot.
Did your mom knit or crochet like sweaters, mittens, scarves, socks?
No. She made quilts. She would order. It was a catalog company named Spiegel out of Chicago or somewhere, like Sears and Roebuck.
Yeah.
And from these catalogs, she'd order remnants of cloth, all sizes and colors and pieces, all rolled up in one big bundle. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But she would buy those and make them into quilts. Made a lot of quilts.
Did she just piece together the stuff, or did she make it in patterns?
No, just any old way.
She just tried to hurry up and make a quilt.
Just get a quilt made. And she hand sewed everything with her quilt.
Did she make her own clothes?
No. Did not. Now, well, I can't say she didn't.
You just don't remember your mom sewing a dress?
I don't remember, no. She could make a few pieces for the girls.
But handwork, she didn't have a sewing machine?
Not till late in life.
Okay.
Probably after Warren sent her the money at $1,400. I know the first thing she bought was a gasoline-powered washing machine, Maytag. And we had an old flat fence, and we didn't have a clothesline. She just threw these clothes after she got them washed over that fence, hang them up, let them dry. I remember one little story about that. She was washing one day, and It's a hot summer day. And I asked her, I said, Mom, do you have to wash all summer so we'll have clean clothes in the winter? She thought that was funny. She told me, no, she had to wash in the winter time too.
How often did she wash bedding?
Once a year, like sheets and stuff, maybe every couple of months or so.
That was a hard work.
And then in the springtime, summer, she'd put the quilts out and let the sun clean them in the wind.
What kind of mattresses did you guys have?
We didn't have a mattress, not till late in life.
You had shuck beds or straw beds?
Yeah, shucks. Corn husk. They had a special little thumb thing with a string on it. You put it on your thumb and you'd hold those corn shucks and shred them with that little wooden piece. And then you'd take scissors and cut the leaf part away from the part that growed onto the stalk. And you just stuff them back in those big feather ticks. And those feather ticks could last 20 years. Special heavy-duty stuff. And then...
How old did you learn to start shredding the leaves and stuffing a bed?
Well, that was all done. I can remember sleeping on them.
Yeah.
And if you made any move with your body, it was rattle, 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 rattle.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to lay real still and not rattle the shucks.
Yeah.
At the time we moved out of the holler, we was able to get some mattress. But all the time we lived up in that holler is old shuck beds. And you see, Mom got the hog farm going, and that gave her a lot of money to buy things with. And we got to living real good. Back then, $35 for a pig that was big enough to crack a grain of corn and eat on its own. It was a high price, but Mom knew she could get the money because all these soldiers was coming back from World War II and they had the money.
Uh-huh.
And she had a waiting list on those pigs. And she did real well. $35 was about an awful lot of stuff back then.
Who helped her, like, with the fencing and the care and take of them and getting in the corn to be able to feed them? Who was her labor help?
Well, my older brothers. I had Ross, and the older one went to World War II, and that left Harry and Wallace to take the man's place and do hard labor. Now Clarence, see, he got his back broke, and the military wouldn't have it. He tried 3 times to get into the Army, and they kept turning him down. No. And he got a job working for a big lumber company over around the Cumberland. And he made enough money to keep food on the table while we still lived up in that holler. This kind of thing. But Wallace and Harry had it, they had to grow up in a hurry. Wallace was 4 years ahead of me, almost 5. Like when I was 10, he was 15, and he used to have to do a man's job. Harry was just a year older. They had to do all the field work and that stuff.
Yeah.
It was very, very hard. But see, we were not the only poor people on line 4.
Yeah.
Well, Dad only had one eye. He got one eye put out when he was about 12 years old. An old muzzleloading rifle backfired and burned his eye out. And back then they didn't know what to do. He just completely destroyed it.
But Harry and Wallace were able to finish school.
Yeah. He finished high school. Then,
Considering the circumstances and the help that your mom needed, that's really good that they were able to finish school.
and then Wallace got out of high school, went to Berea College, and the military let him stay in college till he graduated. And then after Harry graduated from high school, a little time went by, very little, and he joined the Army. He was in the military for 3 years. And when he got out, he had this, back at that time, the federal government, if you finished your term in the military, the government would pay all your college expenses. They called it the GI Bill. And Wilmer and Harry went to college on that GI Bill, and it paid all expenses. Where those like grain towers are, there's a little dip in the trees there, and through that you can barely make out with the camera. We can see the glare of the metal from our eyes where a downtown skyscraper is. Just for reference, where Anderson's Ferry is around the Crooked River Bend. By the time Wallace got through, the GI Bill thing kind of faded out. But he got to finish. And right after his basic training in the Army, they sent him to Paris, France for 3 years. And he was like a spy, Secret Service. And
did he learn to speak French?
I don't know. I never did hear him say anything about it or use any of the words. But maybe he did know. And they wanted Wilmer to stay in the Army. They wanted Wallace real bad. And they wanted Harry. You'd never guess what they wanted Harry's job to do if he'd have re-enlisted.
What?
Presidential Guard.
Oh boy.
Because he was so good at shooting that they were impressed with him on his ability to shoot. Whether it's a pistol, rifle, it didn't matter.
I understand all your brothers did really well on the range. Like, they were really good shots. Yeah, Wilmer was good. Wilmer said he was fighting the Germans. He was in one trench and the Germans was over across the field in another one and firing back at each other. A bullet slipped my brother's chin and his neck, just enough to make it bleed. If it had been over 2 or 3 inches, well, he wouldn't be there.
and he was bleeding. And his buddy told him, said, "Hey, how come you better get the medics? You're bleeding." And Wilmer told this guy, said, "Buddy, I ain't going nowhere till I kill me a few more Germans." He got all kinds of medals for bravery. Going beyond the call of duty. Kind of like Sergeant York things.
Yeah.
And he got to go spend all day with Sergeant York before he died. Went right to his house and sat on the front porch and talked. They've got a big statue of Sergeant York down at Nashville State Capitol. There was an article in the Mountain Eagle the other day about him.
He was highly respected across the whole nation.
Yeah. Can you imagine one man capturing 132 German soldiers? One.
When you were very small and living in the log house up Picture Branch, and it was hot in the summer, how did you guys stay cool?
Left the doors open. No, Clarence made screen doors for the first room. Had a fireplace, a door, two doors. One went out on the porch and one went out and to the kitchen. The other bedroom just had one door, one window. Bedroom, well, the first room, we called it the living room, where the fireplace was at, had two windows. But the upper bedroom only had one window. But we had screen doors to keep flies out. And crosswalks were made out of, fronts made them out of screen wire. And then you just hem the perimeter with a piece of cloth. You know, so that it wouldn't tear up.
Yeah.
And you just kill flies all day.
What was the handle?
Just tick.
If you had a cook stove, that just added to the heat.
Yeah.
Lord.
After my mom moved down on the creek and got her new kitchen built, all her brothers wanted to buy her, after she got electricity, to buy her electric stove. And she didn't want no part of it. And why? I'll never know, unless it would cost money to operate it. That's the only thing I can visualize why she didn't. They just want to buy the stove, bring it in, wire the house, hook it up, and everything. No, I don't want no electric stove.
But she probably, that's what she liked, and that's all she had to do. She wasn't raising hogs and chickens anymore in the mass numbers. And she probably liked it. I mean, she could have just liked it, Dad, to cook on it. And she was used to it her whole life.
Yeah.
She was cooking on that from when she was a very small girl. When your mom moved down and got the hogs going, and she would also, because she still had quite a few kids at home, and then when the boys came back from war, she had them for a little while too, and she would get in a lot of chickens to raise chickens too. How did she feed all those animals?
Well, she could buy corn. See, 100 pounds of corn didn't cost very much. And she had the money to do it. Cow feed, hog feed, chicken feed. Now my brother Wilmer, they called him allotment check. They could take so much of his money each month and send my mom.
Right.
And that helped. I was talking to Clarence once, and Wilmer and Warren gave her money. But Eva had her opportunity in life. The University of North Carolina wanted to pay all of her expenses to go to college. And she got on a bus, they sent her a ticket, round-trip ticket, and she went down there and spent the weekend at the university, or maybe a whole week, and decided, I don't want to do that. Then she went to Middlesbrough to live with my sister for a while, and met this guy and got married. Last year, there was a young cat across the street, Calico, and I think they're the prettiest cats alive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, over time, it kept getting a little closer. It'd come over and come up my walkway, and it'd see me, and it'd take off. Well, I left them Friday night. I fed the other cat that almost lived with me. She couldn't eat it all. And yesterday morning, I had the big door open, and I was just standing there about my chair. Whoa, there's a calico cat on my porch. And she'd finished off eating and went over and just laid down, stretched out, just like she was at home. And then she got up and moved. I couldn't see her. And I went over to the door, and she was stretched out again in the shade. And she saw me, and she jumped up and took off. But that's the first time I've seen her on my porch.
Yeah.
And she's getting a little bite of food, so maybe she'll get tame and not be so wild.
Yeah.
But she is pretty. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think it's a girl.
Talk about what supplies you needed when you went to school as a kid, a little kid.
My first 2 years, first and second grade, was at the Harkin Gap Church House. Okay?
Yeah.
The W.M. Ritter Lumber Company out of Washington, D.C. came into eastern Kentucky getting the timber. They bought all the timber on Line Fork, probably 99% of it. And they brought their kids. They would set up a whole camp. It's like a little town. Dozens and dozens of houses for these people, for the workers to live in. Well, that brought the kids in. School population got so high, they didn't have room. They only had a one-room school at Harkin Gap, or at Gordon. We had to go, all of us kids, and I mean that church house was out full of little kids. And we didn't have a desk or anything to write on or nothing. Church house seats. And to this day, I don't see how I learned
At the
anything
stop sign.
the first 2 years. I don't even remember having a sheet of paper or nothing. And then they got, after 2 years, they got another room built onto that
In about 5
schoolhouse.
miles, turn.
And then we got to move up to the schoolhouse instead of when I was in the 3rd grade. I was in the schoolhouse.
And there was still a lot of kids?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you never saw so many kids. A big portion of those kids, you got in the neighborhood logged out, they just moved on down the creek and built another town. And they'd sell those houses that was there. A lot of them just stayed there around Gordon and got coal mining jobs or whatever. We all grew up together. My graduation class was 25 students, the most the school had ever had, and they never had that many afterwards. Just that one big group of kids.
Boy, that's a lot of kids, 25.
And they went on down Mine Fork, and the kids could still come back up to Kingdom Come High School, see. And it took them about 5 years to get Line Fork
Okay.
logged out.
Okay.
And they built a railroad coming out of Leatherwood, Prairie County, up at the headline port, coming down all the way out to the mouth of it, of the creek, to haul the logs back out.
But it wasn't a regular sized.
Train, no.
No.
Little train, little narrow track, but they could haul those logs.
Yeah.
They could pull up so far uphill when they got up towards the edge of the creek, they'd have to leave half of the logs, park them, take half of them on over to the sawmill way down Leatherwood. And I mean, it was a big sawmill. Wow.
Did you get to see it?
Yeah. Yeah, I got to see the sawmill. It was still going when I was teaching school over there.
Whenever they built on at the school when you were in about 3rd grade, did you then learn to write?
Yeah. Learn how to write. Learn my ABC. All that stuff. It was hard to find a teacher.
Uh-huh.
It was off to war or something.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my 3rd grade teacher was, if she had any more education than a high school, I don't know it. That's how hard place they were for school teachers. Now in the 5th grade, that's when I had my favorite teacher in all of my education. And she taught me a lot.
Who was that?
That was Ethel G. Franklin.
Was she?
You looked them up one time, Arnie Franklin and Ethel.
Yeah.
And they were from Harlan County, over Benham.
Uh-huh.
And she was an outstanding teacher, well educated. Then the 6th grade teacher, my worst teacher.
Really?
And when it was time for the 7th grade, see, our house sat on the dividing line of where you kids could go to elementary school. From my house down, go to Kingdom Come. From my house up, I could go to Gordon. Mom sent us down to the high school on the 7th and 8th grade.
Do you feel that was a good choice?
Yeah, very good. I had the 7th grade teacher, couldn't have had more. He may have had 2 years college, but my 8th grade teacher was well educated. He was very smart, very good.
So then what about after 8th grade?
Well, then we had high school, and was getting into some better teachers time I got into high school. The year that Ruth was to be a senior at Kingdom Come, the school closed. And she went over in another county and finished high school.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the government had a thing, if you'll be a nurse and go to the battlefield, we'll pay all expenses. And she studied on surgery. She was a surgical nurse.
Uh-huh.
The doctor asked for a specific tool, she'd put it in his hand. And
now wait, Kingdom Come, like you went there. Was it because they didn't have enough students?
no teachers.
No teachers.
Yeah.
So there was no teachers.
For that 1 year.
And where did she go?
Anderson, over Bell County.
How'd she get there?
Well, her first trip she probably walked. Or as I know.
Did she like go stay with a family?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
the school was set up for like a boarding house too. You could live
Okay.
there and go to school there. Everybody's in a big room to graduate. They walking across the stage to get their diploma. And while that was going on, they came over the intercom, the war's over. And she didn't have to go do no patch up no soldiers.
Yeah.
And she got her education free.
Did you go see Ruth when she graduated high school?
Oh no. Oh no.
Did your mom go? Did your mom go? Did she have a way to go?
I don't know that.
Okay.
Uh,
Did your mom go see her graduate nurses training?
no, she was at Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, I didn't know if maybe your mom took a train.
No.
Okay.
At that time we lived up Holler.
That's true. There was you guys barely got to any food to eat. Like you were starving.
Starving.
Yeah, you truly were malnourished.
A little piece of cornbread twice a day.
Yeah.
And I had to take a 4-pound water bucket down to the mouth of the holler to get a bucket of milk every morning. And when I get back, Mom would have the cornbread made. And yeah, it was very, very, very rough.
Yeah, your mom probably couldn't even afford stamps to write letters.
No.
Do you remember your mom getting letters and one of you reading them? One of your, like Harry or Wallace reading them to your mom?
Yeah.
So what about books? Like when did you have, like, did you only have a book in the classroom to read? Because for a long time there was no money for your mom to be able to like go buy a book that you would have for school, or buy paper, or buy pencil. How did that work out? Do you remember any of that?
It was very scarce.
And it wasn't probably just for your family. Like most families were probably in the same boat.
Yeah.
Like nobody had a ream of paper except maybe a few of the coal mining kids. But on the side you guys lived on, there wasn't much of that. I mean, the coal miners lived all over the mountain on the Cumberland side.
I tell you how poor I was. It was 2 little girls. They were financially secure, and they'd have chewing gum. Times was really hard. I'd watch them little girls. They'd be chewing the chewing gum, and they'd chew it slow and easy in the classroom, and the teacher wouldn't catch them chewing it. Wasn't supposed to chew gum during class time. Well, I would watch them, and they'd take their gum out and stick it up under their desk. And then they'd go out for recess. I'd wait till everybody was out. I'd go over to their desk and find that worn piece of gum. And I'd stick it in my mouth. I'd go out and chew it all through recess or lunch break. And that's the way I got my chewing gum, was what two little girls chewed.
And then you threw it away, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you think they ever caught on to that?
I don't know. Maybe they did. But they probably said, bless his heart, let him do it. I'll tell you another chewing gum story.
Okay.
Dad would take, if he took 3 or 4 kids up to Helton's store with him, okay, he'd buy, there's one occasion, you could get a little bitty brown bag just full of sticks of bubble gum, like for a nickel. Anyway, he got the bubble gum and handed it to me. He said, now you make sure these other kids don't get none of this gum. It's yours, all of it. And Mom said that'd make her so mad, she'd just have a hickey fit.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make no difference to Dad. Whichever kid he gave it to,
then turn right.
they got it all. Well, I'd get my little bag of bubble gum. I'd have a piece in my mouth chewing it. Dad would be in front walking back home, and this string of kids would be behind him. I'd chew on a piece and get most of the sugar out of it. I'd find me a clean rock, and I'd take my bubble gum out and lay it on a rock. And the first kid behind me got it, and they would chew it. And the next piece, the next kid back. And all my brothers and sisters, time we got home, had bubble gum. This is the best day I've had in a long time.
It is.